Part 40. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 391. Chapter 391, It's the first time I'm so embarrassed. After dinner, Xia Ying told everyone the news that Yu Lingfeng would stay at Xia's house for a while. 11 Ju, yeah. I can live with my master again. Chu Shenxiu, what? Why? Chu Shengming, well, the latest research is helpful again. Luo Xin, huh? Is there something going on? Yu Lingfeng looked at the people with different expressions and explained calmly, it shouldn't take long, because I encountered something, but it's inconvenient to talk about it. I hope it won't disturb you. 11 Ju, Luo Xin, and Chu Shengming all said don't disturb in unison, but Chu Shenxiu stood out and shouted, excuse me. Everyone looked at Chu Shenxiu. Chu Shenxiu then said, why do you have to come and live in our house? Are you planning to get close to the water tower so that you can steal the crescent moon from his cousin Sakura? Big turtle dove, why are you reacting so violently? There are so many rooms in our house, and it would be a waste of resources to leave them empty, Xia Ying explained. Besides, Yu Lingfeng is so lonely living alone. Others nodded in agreement. Chu Shenxiu suddenly became the target of public criticism. Chu Shenxiu rolled his eyes. He knew that Yu Lingfeng did nothing good by sending 11 Ju to their home. It turned out that he was fishing for a big fish with a long line, and then fished away his cousin Sakura. Humph, Chu Shenxiu snorted, he would not let Yu Lingfeng succeed so easily. Before he fully understands the details of Yu Lingfeng, he must not let him be with his cousin Xiaoying easily. After dinner, Yu Lingfeng came to the back garden alone. Rong Si called him many times, but Yu Lingfeng didn't answer the phone. Of course, he could guess Rong Si's purpose in calling him. Hence, after Yu Lingfeng answered the phone, he immediately kept the phone away from his ears. But Rong Si's furious voice still came out from the phone like thunder. He thought that Yu Lingfeng would come back. After all, he would not be so ruthless and unreasonable and leave without saying goodbye. Rong Si thought, at least we are teammates on the same front now. You wouldn't abandon him without saying a word, but in the end, Yu Lingfeng actually abandoned him. Rong Si still held on to a glimmer of hope that Yu Lingfeng would come back to find him. Maybe something urgent happened so he left early, but he would definitely come back. As a result, Rong Si was slapped in the face again. Damn it, it was already dark, and Yu Lingfeng didn't even come over. He refused to answer the phone. Rong Si now wanted to strangle Yu Lingfeng to death. The signal is poor in the wilderness here, and cars can't get in. Poor Rong Si had to go to the village to find a kind family to take him in for one night. Then the pretty girls in the village heard that a super handsome man had come to the village, and they all rushed in to see him. Rong Si looked hopeless at the moment. How did he end up in this situation? It's all thanks to Yu Lingfeng. He has been walking around the world for many years and has never seen any big storms. Today is the first time he is in such a mess. He has already recorded the revenge against Yu Lingfeng. This guy had better have some reason why he has to leave and never come back, otherwise, he will definitely not be able to spare him. Yu Lingfeng frowned and said in a calm voice to the other end of the phone, I thought you had left. Damn it, Yu Lingfeng, do you know what comrades are? Aren't I afraid that you will suddenly come back and find me? Yu Lingfeng pinched his eyebrows and said, are you sure you didn't get lost and can't find it? End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 392. Chapter 392 Please respect my agent character. Are you kidding me? I'm a top agent, I'll get lost and I won't be able to find my way back. Is he professionally trained? You can question anything, but you can't question his business ability. Yu Lingfeng thought of something and asked, is the witch you mentioned good at bewitching? Rong Si was stunned for a moment, opened his mouth, and stared ahead in disbelief. How did you know? Did you find her? No. Yu Lingfeng continued, do you still remember how we got lost when we first went there? Rong Ci nodded, yeah. After Rong Ci and Yu Lingfeng learned about the whereabouts of the witch, they entered the mountains to search for the whereabouts of the witch. However, what was particularly strange was that Rong Ci and Yu Lingfeng were walking in circles in the woods the whole time and couldn't get out. Rong Ci did not believe in evil and tied a red rope to every passing tree. The result was still the same. They were just spinning in circles from beginning to end. In the end, it was Yu Lingfeng who suggested walking with his eyes closed. So, the two of them closed their eyes and groped forward. After a long time, they walked out of the strange woods and found the village where the witch lived, as well as the cabin where the witch lived in the most remote part of the village. I suspect that the woods are bewitched. Yu Lingfeng continued. Rong Ci was stunned for a moment, and then said in a low voice, she is indeed good at voodoo, but I don't know how powerful she is. When he was young, Rong Ci only knew that the witch liked to catch all kinds of weird bugs to play with, and then put the bugs in a sealed container. No matter how many poisonous insects she caught at once, there would only be one when she took it out in the end. Rong Ci has never seen how she uses those bugs, but the witch did tell him that those bugs are her good friends and can protect her from being bullied. However, Rong Ci still remembers a corpse in his memory. It was riddled with wounds, bleeding from the 7 orifices, and the whole body was black. The blood that finally flowed out was blue-black. That is the shadow of Rong Ci when he was a child. Her voodoo skills must be very powerful. Yu Lingfeng's tone was very positive. Rong Ci remained silent, which was regarded as acquiescence. You can come back early tomorrow. You are alone, right? Yu Lingfeng didn't mean to look down on him, it was just a reasonable inquiry. However, to Rong Ci's ears, it sounded like looking down on him. Are you kidding? Of course. Please respect my agent's character, please. After Rong Ci finished speaking, he hung up the phone angrily. Yu Lingfeng said nothing and was about to turn around and go back, but he happened to bump into Chu Shenxiu, who was looking at him with a dark face and walking towards him. Chu Shenxiu narrowed his eyes, looked at Yu Lingfeng and said, hey, who are you calling? Yu Lingfeng ignored him and prepared to go around him. Chu Shenxiu was reluctant and followed Yu Lingfeng and asked, male or female? Friend or relative? Does my cousin Xiaoying know? Yu Lingfeng was annoyed by what he said. He stopped, took a breath and said, you are very annoying. Yu Lingfeng walked away after speaking, leaving Chu Shenxiu secretly speculating on the side. Going out late at night to make a phone call with a mysterious person, there must be something fishy involved. Yu Lingfeng walked towards the house and saw Xiaoying standing at the door of the back garden, looking anxiously on tiptoes. The servant said that Yu Lingfeng had come to the back garden, but Xiaoying didn't see him after looking at him for a long time. I just sent Chu Shenxiu to look for it, but I don't know if he found it. Yu Lingfeng must have gone somewhere secretly again, right? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 393. Chapter 393, I have to admit that I deserve it. While Xiaoying was still lowering her head and thinking about something, suddenly a black shadow pressed down in front of her. Xiaoying raised her eyes and met Yu Lingfeng's gaze. Yu Lingfeng said indifferently, it's windy at night, go back. With that said, Yu Lingfeng took Xiaoying's soft little hand and took her back to the house. Yu Lingfeng's hands were still slightly cold, but even so, Xiaoying still felt warm. Xiaoying followed Yu Lingfeng silently. She originally wanted to ask him what he had just done, but then she thought about whether he might be a bit nosy. So I pursed my lips and finally swallowed back what I wanted to say. Chu Shenxiu was alone in the bleak wind, looking at Yu Lingfeng and Xia Ying angrily. That shameless Yu Lingfeng actually held his cousin Xia Ying's little hand. He has never held her hand before. Okay. Okay, although Chu Shenxiu had to admit that the tall and handsome Yu Lingfeng and the graceful Xia Ying looked really good standing together. When I went to bed at night, I didn't know whether it was Luo Xian's deliberate arrangement or something else. Yu Lingfeng slept in the guest room next to Xia Ying, and Xia Ying lay awake for a long time. When she thought that Yu Lingfeng was separated from her by a wall, inexplicably, she kept staring at that wall. What would Yu Lingfeng be doing? Are you asleep? Or are you still reading those profound books? Xia Ying thought wildly for a while, then turned on the lamp beside the bed and called out the little bugs. The little goo bugs lined up in rows, looking straight at Xia Ying with their big green round eyes. By the way, who is the little one who knows martial arts today? Xia Ying glanced at them. Sure enough, except for some differences in size, this group of small goo insects was really difficult to identify. As soon as Xia Ying finished speaking, the first one on the left blinked, meaning that it was Xiao Yi. Xia Ying frowned. Have you already lined up in formation? The little goo bugs blinked in unison. Wow, so smart. Xia Ying marveled in admiration, and then said to herself, if you know how to do martial arts, what can you little guys do? Xia Ying held her chin and thought for a while, should she try it one by one? Anyway, she can't sleep now and is quite bored. It seems to be quite fun to see what these little goo insects are capable of. Yu Lingfeng was standing on the windowsill, looking at the stars, lost in thought. Rong Si just called him again and said that he saw a sentence on the wall of the room. Anyone who stands in the way of my revenge shall die. But when Rong Si wanted to take a picture and send it to Yu Lingfeng, the word suddenly disappeared. But Rong Si was sure that he saw it, and he was even more sure that it was left by the witch. As for what he did, it might be the goo technique that Yu Lingfeng mentioned. Rong Si suddenly felt a chill on his back. What exactly did the witch mean by revenge? Rong Si wasn't sure whether the thing in his mind was the correct answer. Yu Lingfeng just asked Rong Si, do you really know nothing about the witch's life experience? Rong Si is real, nothing is known about her. What we know about her is only the memory of her childhood, and other information is like a blank piece of paper. At this moment, Yu Lingfeng suddenly felt a pair of hands hugging him from behind, and then, a soft body pressed against him. Yu Lingfeng stiffened, and he could clearly feel the softness on the girl's chest and the refreshing fragrance after bathing. Yu Lingfeng looked down, saw the pair of pale white arms around his waist, and twitched the corner of his mouth. La 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 sugar warning. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 394. Chapter 394 Can't I be thin-skinned? Yu Lingfeng simply stopped teasing her and asked, do you know that you were possessed by a goo insect just now? Xia Ying nodded. I originally wanted to test their respective abilities, but for some reason, they suddenly came to your room. Xia Ying's voice became lower and lower at the end. Yu Lingfeng thought for a while, so, the ability of that little goo insect is to make you tell the truth from the bottom of your heart. Xia Ying lowered her head in embarrassment. She really wants to die? She shouldn't have taken this risk, but who knew she would take it like this? Also, what kind of ability is this? It feels like she was tricked. Xia Ying was thinking that she should take good care of the little guy when she got back. Your group of goo insects are indeed very different, Yu Lingfeng continued. General goo insects are directly used to kill people, but your group can actually possess the owner. I don't know yet. They are good or bad, but one thing is certain, possession consumes too much physical energy for the original owner. Yu Lingfeng said while looking at Xia Ying, who was a little tired. She was just trying one, so she almost lost her balance due to exhaustion of strength. In any case, don't use them until the critical moment. Yu Lingfeng said. This kind of insect that can change people's behavior and thoughts by possessing it seems to be quite good. But Yu Lingfeng was afraid that over time, they would change their master's spiritual thoughts. Have they eaten anything? Yu Lingfeng asked again. Xia Ying shook her head, no. They have been inside the bracelet since daytime. She has never seen them leave to look for food, and Xia Ying, like Yu Lingfeng, really wants to know what they eat. Okay, then you should go to bed early. Yu Lingfeng saw Xia Ying looking very tired, so she said. Xia Ying nodded, just as she was about to leave. Yu Lingfeng behind him suddenly asked again, wait a minute, why didn't you tell me that you like me? Xia Ying paused, frowning and not knowing how to answer. She thought the matter would just go away, but Yu Lingfeng still wanted to ask. I. Xia Ying faltered for a long time, then suddenly said, isn't it okay for me to be thin-skinned? Yu Lingfeng heard this and chuckled. Yu Lingfeng's low laughter made Xia Ying numb. Why did she feel that something was wrong the more she listened to it? Was Yu Lingfeng making fun of her? It seems that you still remember what you just said and what you did. Yu Lingfeng specially emphasized the words things that have been done. Xia Ying. No, I just vaguely remember it. It was all because of the poisonous insects, so I. Before Xia Ying could finish her words, her wrist was suddenly grabbed, and the next second, Xia Ying fell into Yu Lingfeng's arms. Yu Lingfeng restrained Xia Ying with both hands, preventing her from moving. Xia Ying raised her head and looked at Yu Lingfeng in panic. Just when she was about to say something, her lips were blocked. At this moment, Chu Shenxia was going to go to Xia Ying's room to find Xia Ying and ask her something about girls. Because Tang Guo'er had been chatting with him frequently recently, Chu Shenxia could clearly feel what Tang Guo'er meant to him. Chu Shenxia was thinking whether he should explain his thoughts clearly to Tang Guo'er, but he was afraid that he would hurt the little girl's heart by being too direct. So I planned to come over and ask Xia Ying what she should do. I am an author who is happy to cause trouble fly away. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 395. Chapter 395. My favorite thing was taken away. After all, Xia Ying is also a girl, so she should have a better understanding of the psychology of girls like Tang Guo'er. However, Chu Shenxia just knocked on the door twice, only to find that Xia Ying's door was not closed. Chu Shenxia was a little puzzled. Xia Ying habitually liked to sleep with the door closed. Chu Shenxia shouted again, Cousin Xia Ying, are you there? No one answered. Chu Shenxia felt strange. He turned on the light and walked in, only to find that Xia Ying was not in bed at all. A thought suddenly flashed in Chu Shenxia's mind, and then his face suddenly turned dark, and he hurriedly walked towards Yu Lingfeng's room. The door to Yu Lingfeng's room was also open. Chu Shenxia sneaked over and suddenly discovered that at the windowsill, his cousin Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng were kissing like crazy. Ah! His eyes. His young and fragile mind. Chu Shenxia was about to scream when suddenly a person appeared behind him, covering his mouth fiercely and dragging him out. Then the man closed the door for them very thoughtfully. Chu Shenxia was forcibly taken aside, and then he realized that the person who stopped him was Chu Shengming. Chu Shenxia was so surprised that he could not speak coherently. Brother, did you see it? Cousin Xia Ying, she and Yu Lingfeng. Chu Shengming looked very calm. I saw it, so I asked you to stop making noise. Chu Shenxia held his head and roared, his face full of horror and disbelief. Chu Shengming covered his ears to avoid being disturbed by the noise. Brother, why don't you let me stop it? Chu Shenxia became anxious and jumped up angrily. Cousin Xia Ying is not yet a minor, Yu Lingfeng is seducing a minor to commit a crime. Chu Shenming said calmly, he is not as nasty as you think. He must know what's appropriate. Property. What kind of propriety? Chu Shenxiu was so angry that he exploded with anger. A man and a woman alone in the same room can easily misfire, okay. And just now, it was obvious that the gun was on the verge of misfiring. Chu Shenming gave Chu Shenxiu a roll of his eyes and said, stop being so troublesome. Chu Shenxiu felt that his heart was broken at this moment. He couldn't stop it yet. He could only watch his cousin Xiaoying being defiled by that old monster Yu Lingfeng. Chu Shenxiu couldn't sleep for a whole night. That image has been playing like a slideshow in his mind. Painful, uncomfortable, want to cry. When Xiaoying saw Chu Shenxiu the next day, she opened her mouth in surprise and said, Big turtle dove, what did you do last night? Is this the time to inspire yourself to become a national treasure? When Chu Shenxiu saw Xiaoying, his nose suddenly felt sore and he wanted to cry but couldn't because Chu Shenming kept giving him a look that prohibited him from saying anything. It's nothing, I had a dream last night. I dreamed that my favorite thing was taken away, then I woke up with a fright and couldn't sleep anymore. Chu Shenxiu said with a sad face. Chu Shenming's face darkened, this guy is really good at making things up. Xiaoying chuckled, why are you so cowardly in your dream? If you take it away, take it back again. Chu Shenxiu clenched his fist and subconsciously glanced at Yu Lingfeng, who was eating breakfast slowly. I want to too, but I can't beat that person. Xiaoying smiled even more happily. Moreover, my brother was helping that man. He was in the right place at the right time and didn't occupy anyone, so how could he possibly get it back? Thanks to the little cutie's blood puppet, princess degree, and childish girl for their rewards. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 396. Chapter 396 has constituted a crime. Yu Lingfeng raised his eyes and met Chu Shenxiu's gaze. I don't quite understand why he is staring at him with a blood-stained hatred. He didn't provoke him early this morning, right? Xiaoying glanced at her watch, then hurriedly swallowed the toast, puffed her mouth and said, it's terrible, I'm going to be late for school, I have to go out quickly. Xiaoying picked up the schoolbag on the chair next to her and hurried out with the schoolbag on her back. Yu Lingfeng's eyes followed the movement of the bracelet on Xiaoying's wrist the whole time, even though nothing special happened yesterday. Those little goo bugs didn't show any malice, but Yu Lingfeng was still wary. Yu Lingfeng just couldn't figure it out. If those bugs were really good, they were here to help Xiaoying. But why did that old man give the bug to Xiaoying? Who is he? What does he want to do? His purpose is obvious, to use voodoo to lure Xiaoying in, and then convince Xiaoying to adopt those voodoo insects. Yu Lingfeng always feels that sometimes things that seem too simple are often not so simple. Yu Lingfeng thought so and went out shortly after Xiaoying went out. 11 Ju followed Yu Lingfeng and asked, Master, where are you going? Read a book while at home. Yu Lingfeng didn't answer him. After saying something, he went out directly. 11 Ju stopped where he was, with doubts on his face. What is his master busy with recently? Why did he first be sent to Xiaoying's place, and then run out again and again for 3 days? After 11 Ju couldn't think clearly, he didn't bother himself to think about it, but turned around and went back to the room. He hasn't finished what Xiaoying asked him to do, but 11 Ju has already dug out some dirty information about Jiao Na. The oppression of newcomers is all superficial. The point is that the methods that Jiao Na uses to oppress newcomers are truly disgusting. For example, the short-lived Psyche was unable to get a role for a long time due to Jiao Na's oppression. Chiao Na even deliberately told her that it was easy to take the role, just go and sleep with director XXX for one night. And Psyche believed it because it really only took one night's sleep to get the role. After all, and Psyche had heard of the hidden rules in the entertainment industry. In order to be able to film, she gritted her teeth and agreed. As a result, and Psyche stayed with the director for one night. Not only did they not gain anything, they were even secretly filmed by Chiao Na with a camera. Chiao Na used the video to threaten an Psyche to quit the entertainment industry, otherwise she would release the video. And Psyche had to quit the entertainment industry and disappeared from sight. And Psyche is just one of the more typical examples. There are many people like an Psyche who were persecuted by Chiao Na in order to get a certain role. Chiao Na even agreed to let the film crew sleep with a rising actress from Shengding Entertainment Company. Chiao Na also used despicable means to send girls whom others knew nothing about to those jackal beds. Jonah's behavior has constituted a crime. If all of this is exposed, not only will her stardom be completely ruined, but she will also spend the rest of her life in prison. Although 11 Ju already knows the truth of these things, the most important thing is to find evidence. The videotape in Chiao Na's hands, the evidence of how Chiao Na colluded with those disgusting film producers to frame others, these are the most important. Jonah's call records are easy for 11 Ju to obtain. At present, 11 Ju mainly wants to get the videotapes from Chiao Na's hand. Otherwise, those poor girls will be threatened by Chiao Na for the rest of their lives. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 397. Chapter 397 Three Possibilities. Jonah's family was well off since she was a child, and she has always been accustomed to being lawless. Her family didn't pay much attention to her and always left her alone. That's why Kiana took such a wrong path, believing that everyone who hindered her interests would die a good death, and she took it for granted that this was right. This kind of person is really terrible. Zihu felt that it was a good thing that Xia Ying planned to investigate this person thoroughly. Otherwise, if Chiao Na really slowly returned to her previous height in the future, who knows how many people would be harmed by her. Yu Lingfeng went to find Rong Ci. When Rong Ci saw Yu Lingfeng, he quickly told Yu Lingfeng what happened yesterday. Yu Lingfeng, I suspect that the witch has always been by my side really, I really think so. Rong Ci excitedly pulled Yu Lingfeng's arm and said. Yu Lingfeng glanced at the thick dark circles under Rong Ci's eyelids and said, didn't you sleep last night? I can't sleep at all. I feel like as soon as I close my eyes, she is standing next to me, and as soon as I open my eyes, she is gone again. Rong Ci's whole person was in chaos now. Yu Lingfeng did not comment, but said slowly, it's time for you to go back and have a good sleep. Rong Ci became anxious when he saw Yu Lingfeng's indifferent expression. What? Don't you believe me? It's not that I don't believe you, but I suspect that you have fallen into her trap. Yu Lingfeng analyzed lightly, the witch did live here for 2 days, but she must have left now. Not only that, she has probably already. I expected you to find this place, so I put a poison here to make you hallucinate. Rong Ci frowned deeply after hearing Yu Lingfeng's analysis, still worried about gains and losses. Is it really just an illusion? Otherwise, do you think that you, a top agent, can disappear in front of you as soon as you open your eyes when everyone is already standing in front of you? Rong Ci finally believed it. That's what you said. It's just that so-called goo, it's a bit too powerful. You shouldn't stay in this place for a long time. Go back as soon as possible. Yu Lingfeng said, a poison like this that creates illusions is very powerful. Over time, it may destroy people's will and make them crazy or stupid. Especially because Rong Ci didn't sleep a wink last night. If he stayed here any longer, how long could he last? Rong Ci had no choice but to follow Yu Lingfeng down the mountain and went back without finding anything. Yu Lingfeng, You said that since she told me she was coming back, why has she been reluctant to show up? This is something wrong Ci has always been unable to figure out. Yu Lingfeng thought for a while and said, there are only three possibilities. One is that she has no intention of coming out at all, but just deliberately scares you. The second is that she may have come out, but she is diverting your attention so that there is time to do her thing. The third type is that she has not come out yet and is waiting for the opportunity, but at the same time, you are an obstacle to her, so she will keep hanging on you like this, and even bewitch you to kill you. Will. Hearing Yu Lingfeng's analysis, Rong Ci was so frightened that he took a breath. Rong Ci went straight home and prepared to have a good sleep, while Yu Lingfeng looked at the time and saw that Xia Ying was about to finish school. So Yu Lingfeng simply went to pick her up and see how her goo insects were doing. Before determining whether the goo insect is good or bad, Yu Lingfeng must treat it with extra caution. Thanks to the little cutie Ryasuk for the reward. Please give me a recommendation vote. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 398. Chapter 398, You're Yu Lingfeng. Xiaoying, what should I do? Brother Xian said he wants to meet me. On the way home from school, Xiaoying and Ye Xiaoxun were walking on the road together. Ye Xiaoxun's face was so excited that he held Xiaoying's arm tightly and said. Xiaoying laughed when she saw Ye Xiaoxun's appearance. Are you finally going to start running? No, 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 I have no plans to meet him yet. Ye Xiaoxun bit his lower lip and whispered. You have been chatting for so long, do you still want to hide it? Xiaoying is puzzled. Oh, anyway, now is not the time yet. Ye Xiaoxun said angrily. Xiaoying smiled and said nothing. Her eyes fell on Ye Xiaoxun's hair. Ye Xiaoxun probably felt that her previous mushroom head was too honest, and she had always been envious of Xiaoying's long hair, so Ye Xiaoxun was also planning to grow her hair recently. Xiaoying looked at Ye Xiaoxun's black hair and said, Xiaoxun, I understand. Do you plan to grow your hair to your waist before confessing to your brother Xian? Ye Xiaoxun did not refute, biting his mouth and smiling shyly. Xiaoying just said it casually, but she didn't expect that it would hit Ye Xiaoxun's heart. She feels that she is too ordinary now. She wears a pair of thick glasses, has a short mushroom head, is not tall, and has an ordinary figure. But Fan Xian is tall and handsome, with a smile as bright and warm as the sun. Therefore, Ye Xiaoxun has always felt inferior. She feels that she is not worthy of such a good Fan Xian. Therefore, Ye Xiaoxun has never dared to confess. At least, she had to make some changes to make herself more perfect before she could express her feelings to that dazzling young man. Xiaoying and Yu Lingfeng walked to the school gate. Xiaoying was still telling Ye Xiaoxun interesting things. Ye Xiaoxun looked at the crowded direction of the school gate. The eyes of a group of girls were all attracted by a tall and handsome boy. Among a group of blue and white school uniforms, a boy was dressed in black, and his facial features were as delicate as a fine work of art. Any changes in any part would no longer be perfect. Yu Lingfeng stood there, saying nothing, doing nothing, without any wave of expression, and his aura had already overwhelmed everything. Wherever he goes, he is the focus of the crowd. This man is really like a from heaven. How can there be such a beautiful thing in the world? Ye Xiaoxun thought so and tugged on Xiaoying's arm. Xiaoying, your Yu Lingfeng is here. Xiaoying was startled after hearing this. She looked towards the door and met Yu Lingfeng's eyes. Yu Lingfeng stepped out with long legs and walked towards Xiaoying. Xiaoying stood there and paused, holding her breath and staring at Yu Lingfeng. Xiaoying saw Yu Lingfeng and couldn't help but think of the scene last night. Xiaoying's ears turned red, and not long after, Yu Lingfeng walked up to Xiaoying. Ye Xiaoxun very wisely let go of Xiaoying's hand and walked away silently. Yu Lingfeng looked at Xiaoying, his eyes dropped down, and then fell on her wrist. Are those little goo bugs causing trouble? No. Xia Ying answered truthfully, the little goo bugs were quite obedient. When Xia Ying didn't let them out, they stayed in the bell obediently without any movement at all. Want to go home for dinner or? Wait a minute, Xia Ying interrupted Yu Lingfeng, took off her skull bag, searched for a long time in the skull bag, found a mask, then stood on tiptoes and helped Yu Lingfeng put it on. La la la, draw 3 cuties in the comment area of this chapter to get 100 book coins. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 399. Chapter 399. Do you think you are raising a pet? Yu Lingfeng frowned, but Xia Ying raised her lips and smiled with great satisfaction. Well, that's right. Yu Lingfeng, please have a correct understanding of yourself. Don't you realize that you are people staring? It's easy to cause commotion with such good looks, okay? Remember to wear a mask when going out in the future. Xia Ying warned like an old mother. Good. Yu Lingfeng actually responded to her very obediently. I'll take you back, Yu Lingfeng said. No, there's a delicious restaurant nearby, do you want to try it? Xia Ying stared at Yu Lingfeng expectantly. She originally planned to go to eat with Ye Xiaoxun, but because Yu Lingfeng came over, Ye Xiaoxun left, and Xia Ying's dining friend was gone. Yu Lingfeng naturally nodded in agreement. Xia Ying happily took Yu Lingfeng's arm and led him towards the store. Yu Lingfeng noticed that the infatuated expressions of the girls on the road suddenly turned sad. It turns out that person is the legendary Xia Ying's boyfriend, who is as handsome as a descending to earth. Today I really got to see the world. He's really handsome, isn't he? On the day of the party, Xia Ying hugged a boy and said he was her boyfriend. According to witnesses, the boy was a bit more handsome than Jun Chenai. Originally, Guanjiang's classmates didn't believe it. Jun Chenai, the national male god. How could he be more handsome than him? Jun Chenai was last year's #1 male star with the most beautiful face in the world, okay. As a result, after seeing Xia Ying's boyfriend in real life, they suddenly felt that the ranking of the most beautiful faces had no credibility at all. Little brother, are you making your debut? I really want to pick you up. Only then did Yu Lingfeng realize the reason why Xia Ying, who had always been reserved, suddenly showed such enthusiasm to him today. Is this girl declaring her sovereignty? Just now, Yu Lingfeng was looked at by countless girls confessing her love along the way. Then, Xia Ying gave them a blow, directly took Yu Lingfeng's arm and walked out swaggeringly. It seems to be saying, don't have any wishful thinking, this man is already mine. After arriving at the place Xia Ying mentioned, Xia Ying looked at the menu, raised her eyes to Yu Lingfeng, and asked, Yu Lingfeng, can you eat spicy food? Yu Lingfeng seemed to have no idea when he heard the word spicy. I don't know, I haven't tried it. Haven't you ever eaten spicy food? Xia Ying suddenly discovered a new world. Yu Lingfeng seems to have never eaten spicy food. What he eats has always been relatively light. When 11 Ju cooked for him, he always followed his taste and it was always light. Yu Lingfeng has never tried anything spicy or heavy. Ha, let's give it a try today, Xia Ying said with a bad smile, and then ordered a plate of spicy crayfish. After ordering the food, Xia Ying stretched out her hand, looked at her little goo insects and asked, little guys, are you hungry? Hearing their master calling them, the little bugs immediately poked out their little eyes, but because there were so many people, they didn't dare to come out. Are you eating? Xia Ying suddenly asked. The little goo insect blinked, and Xia Ying didn't know whether it meant eating or not eating. Yu Lingfeng on the opposite side said directly, eating? Do you think you are raising a pet? However, as soon as Yu Lingfeng finished speaking, the waiter brought the rice over first. Xia Ying tentatively poked one with a toothpick and moved closer to one of the small bells. As a result, he was really eaten. Yu Lingfeng. Thanks to the little cutie D6 Psi, Kio, Ling Ying, Decadent Ninki, 136.25 for the rewards. List of winners in the book review area: Cute Stupid Mama, Don't Be Afraid, I'm Always Here, Mo Sheng, Ad Xiao Penguin, 299-133-0854, provide a screenshot of the login page, and you can claim the reward after verifying your identity. Don't be discouraged if you didn't win, you'll still have a chance next time. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 400. Chapter 400, particularly easy to feed. Yu Lingfeng, look, they really ate the rice. Xia Ying became excited. Yu Lingfeng frowned, then took out a toothpick, poked a grain of rice, and brought it to another small bell. As a result, the little bug really crawled out, then looked at Yu Lingfeng timidly, opened its mouth and began to eat the rice grain silently. Not long after, a plump rice grain had been eaten by it. After the little goo worm finished eating, he lay down directly in the bell, looking like he was too full to digest. Yu Lingfeng felt that her worldview had been refreshed, and Gu Chong actually drank scented tea in exchange for rice. Can they have some knowledge of being the king of poisonous insects? Yu Lingfeng suddenly went out and picked a random leaf outside. Xia Ying looked at the leaf in Yu Lingfeng's hand in surprise and asked, Yu Lingfeng, do you want to feed them this? Yeah, Yu Lingfeng nodded, try to see if they eat it. Yu Lingfeng sat down as he spoke, used a toothpick to tear off a small piece of leaf fiber from under the leaf, and inserted it into the bell of one of the goo insects. As a result, it actually ate it again. Yu Lingfeng was shocked, and Xia Ying was also surprised. Yu Lingfeng, the little ones seem to be well fed, they eat everything. Yu Lingfeng didn't say anything, but suddenly stretched out his little finger. The smile on Xia Ying's face froze and she stared at Yu Lingfeng. Could Yu Lingfeng want to see if these little guys can eat people since they eat everything? As a result, the little guys didn't seem to be interested in Yu Lingfeng's fingers. Yu Lingfeng motioned to Xia Ying, try it. What if Gu doesn't catch cold just because he is an alien and has a special constitution? As a result, they were not even remotely interested in Xia Ying's little finger. Xia Ying smiled again, Yu Lingfeng, they are really a good group of bugs. Yu Lingfeng was non-committal. At this time, the food had been served. Xia Ying pointed at the spicy crayfish and said to Yu Lingfeng, do you want to try it? Yu Lingfeng stared at the plate of bright red crayfish and stretched out his chopsticks with a complicated expression. Looking at Xia Ying opposite, she seemed to be eating happily. Yu Lingfeng followed Xia Ying's example and took a bite. The taste was a bit strong for Yu Lingfeng, who usually has a light taste. However, after a few bites, Yu Lingfeng felt that it was unexpectedly delicious. Is it tasty? Xia Ying looked at Yu Lingfeng with wide eyes expectantly and asked. Yu Lingfeng nodded, not bad. Ha, I like eating spicy crayfish the most. Xia Ying said. Yu Lingfeng looked at Xia Ying with a happy face as she ate, and smiled lightly, it seems like there's nothing you don't like to eat, right? Yes. Xia Ying put down her chopsticks, thought for a moment, and said, for example, I don't like bitter melon, I don't like. Xia Ying thought for a long time, it seems to be bitter melon, oh, there are some weird things. I don't like weird meat or animal offal. Yu Lingfeng listened calmly and remembered it silently in his heart. After eating and drinking, there was still some time before afternoon classes. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng took a walk in the park near the school. They looked like many other couples walking side by side. Hey, little guys, do you want some water? Xia Ying said to the little goo insects. Yu Lingfeng looked at Xia Ying beside her. She really kept her little goo bugs like pets. Thanks to the little cuties Yuan Wei Milk Tea and Liangjia for the rewards. The cute little ones who won the lottery last time. Cute stupid mama, don't be afraid, I'm always here, Mo Sheng. It seems that the system posted it once before and it didn't show up. In case someone didn't see it, I posted it again. Jiaziao Penguin, 299-133-0854 to receive the award. In the comment area of this chapter, we will still draw 3 cuties to get 100 book coins. The winner list will be announced in the chapter updated tomorrow night. Remember to vote for recommendation. End of this chapter.